If that failure defeats you inside, then you're done. Imagine if just you had one of those powers. If you could see into people and see through their smiling masks and understood what's really going on, imagine the power you would have. But then as we get older, we lose sense of them. We're not hearing them anymore because we're hearing teachers telling us this is what we're good at, this is what we should be. We're hearing friends. We humans only do things that are pleasurable, right? We're attracted to the things that give us pleasure, and we refrain from things that give us pain. And it's very depressing, and it's why people turn to drugs and alcohol and porn, etc. They lose a sense of themselves, of who they are.
Robert Greene.
You don't want to appeal to people's love, to the fact that they like you. You want to appeal to the fact that they need you. Because if they love you, love is a very tenuous emotion. In fact, it doesn't work very well in the work situation. It causes all kinds of problems. They'll get rid of you tomorrow, even though they like you. But if they need you, it's like pulling out all of these roots of a plant. To get rid of you, it's going to cause all kinds of damage all over the place. They need you and they can't get rid of you. So you need to make sure that your position in a company, in life in general, you're the only person who can do that. The way you make yourself necessary and others dependent on you is to be the only person who can do this job. You are so unique. There's only one Elon Musk. There's only one Steve Jobs, right? They're irreplaceable. They're not afraid to be themselves, have their own style. And so, that's what secures their position. So if I wrote books like everybody else, I wouldn't have that position of power. But because I'm the only one, for better or for worse, who can write books the way I do, I have secured a position in the publishing world. So it's a law that applies everywhere. Yeah. But also having a sense of accomplishment. So it's not just you're a bullshit artist, not just you're a con artist. You've actually accomplished A, B, and C in life, right? So if people come and attack me, I don't really care because I have this that I can always fall back on. I have a book that sold 2 million copies. How many people can say that? I don't care, bring it on. I'm fine with that. But the one other thing I would say about that is that you want to, in the case for all people of power and any position you are in life, I have a law in the 48 Laws of Power called never appear too perfect. And the danger in the world today is, the number one danger is envy. We live in a time of social media, etc., where it's massive envy, where we know what everybody else is doing in life, and we don't like to admit that we're envious, so we attack people passive-aggressively. We subvert them, we try and throw obstacles in their way. We criticize them when in fact we envy them. And the strategy there is to learn how to deflect envy. So if you're Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, you have to have some humor, you have to have some self-deprecating humor. You have to take the criticism that comes and kind of laugh at it and go along with it so that you don't appear all stiff and rigid and defensive. If you don't have confidence in your own idea, how can I have confidence? And there's an element almost of bullshit and playing a con man. So having a sense of you were destined to accomplish something, that you feel that it's going to succeed, it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy. I want you to look at the things that you were drawn to when you were 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old. You want to see something that attracted you here so deeply you can't even put it into words. Because the way the human brain works is that you don't learn things with any kind of intensity unless your emotions are deeply, deeply engaged, unless you're excited by the subject, right? And so if you're kind of in a field that is because of the money or because it kind of half interests you, you're not going to be learning, you're not going to have that intensity of focus that all successful people have. There's a kind of a level that you hit where the work is exactly what you were meant to do. It's what excites you, it's what your skill level, you're up to the challenge, or maybe it's a little above you, and it brings out the best in you. And you want to find out what that field is or what that subject is. And so once you find it, everything else will fall into place. If you work really hard and you put all of your focus into it, and you've done, like you wrote a book with lots of research, and you know it's a good book, and yet it only sells 2,000 copies, you can feel a bit upset about it. You're going to be upset about it, no doubt, but you're going to bounce back because you knew that you put in all the effort. And you know, failure is a good thing. Failure teaches you what your limitations are. Because if you go through life and you have success after success, you're never learning. And then you're gonna have a much worse downfall because you're gonna get grandiose. So failure is a good thing. As long as you put in the effort, as long as you did the job the best you could, okay, it didn't sell so much, I can learn from it and I can go on to the next project. Because if that failure defeats you inside, then you're done. Because you're never gonna recover your confidence. Your next effort's gonna be even more half-assed, etc. So you have to, it all comes from within. So when you have that failure, learn from it and put yourself in a position where you're ready to bounce off to the next project. But if your work isn't based on anything real, if you don't have real skills, if your work is shoddy, all the bullshit in the world won't be able to cover it up, right? It's going to show through. And I was really worried that people didn't understand how to make things, how to build things. I was having visions in my mind of 40 years from now, bridges would be collapsing because people don't know how to be engineers anymore. Right. They learn a sense of the process of mastering something, right? A lot of it comes from social media and the internet, where people have this impression that you can have power and that there's shortcuts for anything, right? My belief is there are no shortcuts in this life. You have to be able to put in the work, you have to be able to fail, you have to try again, you have to go through an apprenticeship phase, you have to try and get a mentor, you have to learn. Then maybe you can become creative, and here's how you become creative. And once you reach that point where all of your knowledge and skill reaches that creativity mastery level, the game will flow and it'll be easy and you'll have a great life. Okay? We humans only do things that are pleasurable, right? We're attracted to the things that give us pleasure, and we refrain from things that give us pain. But how do we define pleasure? For most people, particularly young, it's instant. I want things that are quick. I want to get that jolt from a 2-hour movie, or from a video game, or maybe from a week's worth of work. But real pleasure, fulfillment, comes from something much longer. So when you reach a point where you're 30 years old, you've been serious, you've learned all these skills, you've gone to school, but you've tried different jobs, and now you're ready to start your own business, and you have that level of, wow, I've done all these great things, that is a much greater pleasure and thrill that you'll ever have in life than from something immediate. So think of your sense of pleasure, draw it out to 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, have a plan. So when you reach a point where you actually realize your dreams, that is the ultimate high you can ever have. Reaching a point of mastery and creativity is the most ecstatic thing. It's a peak experience, to use Maslow's terms. It's worth going through all the pain. So to be able to look at yourself with a degree of honesty and say, these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses, to be able to look at people and understand some of who they are and not project onto them your own emotions and not see into them what you want to see into them, but who Brian Elliott actually is, a process of kind of empathy and this sort of social skills that we can develop, and the ability to see the world as it is. These are the trends happening in the world. This is the future of my career. This is where the world is going. You have that kind of realistic attitude, it's like a sharp diamond, it'll cut through anything. You imagine if just you had one of those powers, if you could see into people and see through their smiling masks and understood what's really going on, imagine the power you would have. It'd be amazing. Part of our problem these days is we're too black and white in the way we think. Things are never one way or the other, they're always a mix, and that's kind of where wisdom comes from, is being able to see the middle way. So we're a mix of nurture and nature. Undoubtedly, genetics play a component. The way your brain is wired, there's one kind of set of intelligence that you're attracted to. It could be math, it could be kinetics and movement, it could be patterns, and which will lead to like music, etc. But those are genetic, no doubt about that. But then nurture plays an incredibly important part. Just think of the fact that you're 1 year old. Do you know how vulnerable and what a sponge you were when you were that young? Your whole life depended on 1 or 2 figures. You were paying such deep attention. Do you know how the power that has on you. You're not aware to this day how you were formed in those first months of your life in a completely pre-verbal way. So they're both equally play a role. So people who emphasize one or the other, they're just foolish, I think. So what it all comes to, so I was talking about a realistic attitude, it all comes down to being able to see into yourself with a degree of clarity. So the great psychologist Abraham Maslow called it, I believe, impulse voices. And he says that when a child is 6, 8 months old, they have these impulse voices. They like this candy, they like this bit of food, and they hate that one. It's something inside of them, they know it, they're aware of it in a very primal, pre-verbal way, and so they choose this thing that they're going to eat. Right? We all have these voices, but then as we get older, we lose sense of them. We're not hearing them anymore because we're hearing teachers telling us this is what we're good at, this is what we should be. We're hearing friends, we're hearing the culture saying this is what's cool and what's not cool. By the time we're 16 years old, that impulse voice is drowned out by 100 other voices, and we don't know who we are anymore. And it's very depressing, and it's why people turn to drugs and alcohol and porn, etc. They lose a sense of themselves, of who they are, and that is the worst thing that can happen to you. So it's a matter of self-awareness and going through a process. We talk about the need, patience, of being able to look at yourself. And what I get people to do is we go through a process of journaling. And we dig deep and we say, these are the things I could see throughout my life that I love, that when they happen, when I hear about them, I get so excited. These are the things I hate. And I give them an example of myself. I know, for instance, if I open the internet or the New York Times or any newspaper, and there's an article about early humans from 80,000 years ago, I have to read that article. I am so obsessed. That's the impulse voice. And on the other hand, I hate working for people. That's another impulse voice that's now saying you have to be an entrepreneur, Robert.
Some people, they get tired of the thing they've been doing for 10, 15, 20 years, and then they go try something different. That's not, you should go off in a different direction within writing or something, right? And so you get bored, and the boredom either means I've got to change my job, or it means I have to change something within my job, and I prefer the something within my job. It's a very strange time to be a male, to be a boy, to be a man. It's a very confusing time. You wanted to grow out of adolescence, you wanted to become a man, you wanted to enter the world and kind of follow in the footsteps of some of these people that you admired. But now it's like being a male, being a masculine is almost ugly, it's dirty. It's almost like something you have to wipe off your skin. Ew, toxic masculinity. But, there's something you have to say about testosterone. It can turn ugly, but it drives you. It makes you do things. It's got a positive element. It gives you ambition. It makes you go out and do things. 12,000 years ago, it made you go hunt mastodons and kill them with your other members, right? There should be positive things about being a man. And so then I don't want to stay in adolescence. I don't want to stay in this little cocoon with my mommy and my daddy in my home playing games. I want to go out in the world. I want to conquer. I want to have ambition. I think the root of the problem is that there's no kind of positive masculinity out there. And so it doesn't give people an incentive to get out of that little kind of adolescent cocoon. Well, let's start talking about things like that like life is a game. Get out there and be active.